And every time they tried to take a hold of it, it destroyed them. And when another people tried to take hold of the Ark of the Covenant from its place, they suffered a horrible disease. Every people that tried to take it, until 5 cities were destroyed trying to lay their hands on the Ark of the Covenant. So what happened is they took the Ark of the Covenant, placed it on the back of 2 cows, and had it brought out of the city, facing the direction of the children of Israel. It came into the possession of the angels, who waited at orders to take hold of it. This occurred near Lake Tiberias. This had been the place where Yusha ibn Nun had been given successorship after him by the Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And no one knew of its exact whereabouts until the angels brought it forward. Now, the question about the angels bringing it is firstly that the angels came with the Ark of the Covenant carrying it by themselves. And they said to the prophet among the children of Israel, seek out a time where we can bring the Ark of the Covenant to you. And he said, in the morning. And so all that night the people didn't sleep. And they waited. And the angels brought it around Fajr time. And they heard the sound, the thunderclap and roar of the angels bringing it from between the sky and the earth. The angels then laid it down and put it on the back of a calf and 2 bulls. And it was brought out to the people. And it was shown to them. Indeed, in that is a sign for you. That ayah means the sign that is the proof of Talut being the king and the judge is the Ark of the Covenant coming out and being brought. And when you see it, when it's brought, then you should listen. And when they saw it, they hastened to his obedience, and they marched out with him in a large band. Close quote. So this is showing them the Ark of the Covenant, when it was brought, they accepted it. Now, the question then comes, what does this possibly have to do with Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam? It's got nothing to do with him. It's got nothing to do with Imam al-Mahdi. When you look in the other commentary literature, Al-Hussein al-Baghawi, Ibn Atiyah, and others, they mention statements from Ibn Abbas and texts that have the understanding that when Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam comes, one of the things that he will do is he will bring out the Ark of the Covenant. And when the rabbis see this, there will be a delegation of rabbis that see this. And when they open up the Ark and look inside and see the remnants of the tablets of the Torah and the other things, that there will be a mass conversion among the religious establishment of the Jews. I don't mean the conservative or reform Jews. I mean real, dyed-in-the-wool, Haredi, ultra-Orthodox, from religious Jews that understand about these issues. These Jews who have made the curtains for the third temple, who've prepared cups, who believe the foundation stones going, these children of Israel who believe like this. And Lake Tiberias, we're already seeing one of the signs in which one of the prophecies is that before his coming, the Dead Sea will dry up. And we're starting to see, as the Prophet ﷺ informed us, that the Dead Sea is going dry. Whether people say, well, it's because there's so many people drinking it, it's because there's so many people swimming in it, that's irrespective. The point is, it's going dry. The same prophecy that was made that the Euphrates River is going dry. 2003, if you can do your research at the local library, there's a study on the cataclysmic effects of the loss of the Euphrates River and irrigation in Iraq. And these are signs of the coming of the big age, the major age. And it's here where the Prophet ﷺ says at the drying up of the Euphrates that they will find the black gold that they will fight over. I don't need to do anything but let your imaginations do the work. But you know this hadith in Sahih or Muslim, what is referring to. I'll let you do the work. But Al-Imam al-Mahdi comes with this and the items that are inside. And Ibn Abbas, he makes an interesting remark because he states that all kings and rulers, they have markers and proofs of their dominion. They have proofs of their dominion. And the Ark of the Covenant, historically for rulers that came, was a proof of their dominion. And it should be no different for the case of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. No difference. This is what's coming. Now, the question that comes, how will we know? Has he been born yet? No. There's no textual statements. Now, the Al-Masih al-Dajjal, he has been born, because the hadith in Sahih Muslim of Tamim al-Dari, where they met him while Tamim ibn Aus al-Dari was a Christian. He met him chained up on a desert island. So this is proof that Al-Masih al-Dajjal was a full-grown man. He's a long-lived human being, a demonic human being, but a full-grown human being and alive. Al-Imam al-Mahdi bears the name Muhammad ibn Abdullah, making hijrah to escape. And there will be the tribulation that follows in the hadith in Tabarani, where the Abdal, high-ranking scholars from Iraq and Sham, will come and give him the oath of allegiance at the Yemeni corner of the Kaaba. And that's when you and I will recognize who he is. Prior to that time, the fullness isn't understood to us because we don't have that type of knowledge of the 1 million ahadith spread over 500 collections. We don't have that type of knowledge. But they do. So they will recognize him before. The Prophet Isa alayhi salam, his coming is around the same time in which he comes to the Sharqi minaret, the eastern minaret, which has been demolished, which was demolished, I don't know how many times by Frankish invaders during the Crusaders, as if they're going to stop Isa alayhi salam from coming because they destroyed the minaret. It's been rebuilt Lord knows how many times. He descends at that minaret, and that is where history really goes crazy. So these ayat, when you look in a lot of the books about Al-Imam al-Mahdi, you will find sometimes they will quote this ayah because there are other athar and narrations about Al-Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam coming with the Ark of the Covenant. You can do your own research on how people are so interested in the Ark of the Covenant. There's been this upsurge since, say, 2000, 2003 in the Ark of the Covenant. And who has it? Do the Ethiopians have it? Do these people have it? No, none of them have it. None of them have it. It's around the area of Lake Tiberias, and it's buried deep. But it will be brought out. It will be brought by him, and people will see it. So the main thing to do is to keep your eyes not on Ethiopia, not on Central Asia or Mongolia. You keep your eyes on the Middle East, because that is the touchstone of where all history wraps up. And that's where almost all of the prophetic events happen. Now, the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam and other prophets before him, they weren't necessarily from the Middle East. But as we mentioned in Surah Al-Imran, the 3rd Surah 31 on, that from Ibrahim's time and on, it was the children of Ibrahim that dominated the roster of prophets. They were either from Ismail's lineage, or they're either from Ishaq's, and that's just the way it's been. There's few prophets that we can mention in the Quran that aren't from the lineage of Ibrahim somehow, either through Ishaq or Ismail. That's just the way that it's been. So any pretender that comes and says, well, he's a prophet, even if we even looked into the matter and examined it, we'd still know that he can't be, because most of the people claiming are not even from that household. Now, Imam Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah, he then starts by saying, quote, and so when they saw the Ark of the Covenant, the people hastened to obey their new king and marched out with him. And this is where Allah the Exalted, he says, فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر فمن شرب منه فليس مني ومن لم يطعمه فإنه مني إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده فشربوا منه إلا قليلا منهم فلما جاوزه هو والذين آمنوا معه قالوا لا طاقة لنا اليوم بجالوت وجنوده قال الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو الله كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله والله مع الصابرين فلما برزوا لجالوت وجنوده قالوا ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين فهزموهم بإذن الله وقتل داود جالوت وآتاه الله الملك والحكمة وعلمه مما يشاء ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لفسدت الأرض ولكن الله ذو فضل على العالمين تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وإنك لمن المرسلين. And when Talut marched out with the army, he said, indeed Allah is to test you with a river of water. Whoever drinks from this will not be among those who march on. And whoever does not drink from it except for a sip from his hands will be among those with me. But they all drank from it except for a few. Then once Talut crossed the river with those who believed with him, they said, we have no strength this day to face Jalut and his mighty army. But those who believed that they would be meeting Allah that day, they said, many a group that was small has defeated a mighty people by Allah's permission. Indeed, Allah is with those who are steadfast and patient. And when they confronted and came to Jalut and his group, they prayed, our Lord, bestow on us, give us strength, make us firm in our foothold, and give us victory over the unbelievers. So they defeated Jalut and his armies by the will of Allah, and Dawood killed Jalut, and Allah bestowed on Dawood the kingdom and the wisdom, and taught him what else he willed. And had Allah not repelled one group of people with others, the earth would have been filled with corruption. But Allah gives His bounty and His virtue to all of the creation. These are the ayat and revelations of Allah. We narrate them to you in all truth. Indeed, you are one of the messengers. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 249 to 252. So when Jalut marched out with his army, meaning that he went out with his people, and there were 70,000 that went out, according to Ibn Abbas, and then they increased to 80,000, as said by Ikrimah and As-Sudai, and then they increased to 100,000, as said by Muqatil. When they marched out, it was an extreme heat. And Allah tested them by the river. And this testing was for them to follow directions. As for the word nahr, river, it is pronounced with the sound nahr, according to the vast majority, while others may pronounce it differently. The particular river made reference to is the river Jordan, which goes down the land of Palestine, as mentioned by Ibn Abbas and As-Sudai. It's between the Jordan and the Palestine. And this way of knowing by them tasting of the river was so that Talut might know those who truly had intention to fight from those who did not have the intention to fight. So when he said, the one who drinks from it's not from me, it means that he's not marching out with me. Except those who take a small portion. The small portion means that it was just enough to fill the palm of the hand, rather than drinking. Muqatil mentioned that the portion of the palm of the hand, the man and the beast, or his riding mount, both who drank from it, and they served their hosts with it. But it wasn't necessarily meant by the palm of the hand in a literal sense. He only meant that they take enough refreshment to renew themselves. Now those who did not drink from the river and were faithful, they were 4,000. And then they eventually were weeded down to 313. And this is the authentic position. It's related that the Prophet ﷺ said to his companions, you are, after the people of Talut, you are just like them when you came to meet the people of Jalut. Because the people on the day of the battle of Badr were 313. And likewise the people in the time of Talut, when they met Jalut and his army, were 313. This is collected by Abu Ja'far ibn Jarir al-Tabari, as well as Ahmed and Bukhari in their collections. When it mentions them saying there's no power for us, we have no strength, it's referring to those who drank more than their fill, and then they turned back and didn't witness the battle. These people doubted in the promise, and they had nifaq, hypocrisy in their hearts, as said by Ibn Abbas and As-Sudai. This statement was also said by those who were believers, who had true insight, because they knew that the power was coming from another source. And they said this to one another. And those who believed that they were going to meet Allah was referring to some of them who were certain that they were going to be killed due to their smaller numbers. So they knew that they might meet Allah because they were only 313 and the others were bigger. They said to those who were going back after having drank, they said, many a small people has overcome a mighty nation. And those who actually said this were the ulama and the abdal from the 313. That tiny group was a small group, but they were given strength by the permission of Allah with His help. And Allah helps those who are patient. So when they came to Jalut and his army and encountered them, they said, Lord, have mercy upon us, give us patience, establish our feet with a firm foothold, and give us help. Help us against the unbelievers. So once they came into the clearing in the land, and it was clear that they would meet them, they asked that their hearts be strengthened, that their feet be strengthened, and that they might not have hearts that are doubting. Because they saw Jalut and his huge host. And Jalut and his army, they were worshiping idols.